This is This Week in Perspective with me, Adam Simbe. On the 9th of December 2016, Tanzanians marked 55 years of the independence of Tanganyika with an impressive military parade at Uhuru Stadium in Dar es Salaam, led or presided or inspected by President John Magufuli, the first time since becoming the United Union President. Last year, the celebrations were marked by a general cleaning campaign throughout the country. After 55 years, is Tanganyika the same? What has changed to the better in this period? To answer these and other related questions with me today, I'm joined by, on my right, Joseph Mwamnyangi, a senior journalist with East African magazine. Next, thank God the only lady, Dr. Rose Shayo from the Institute of Development Studies, University of Dar es Salaam. These two are founder members or pioneers of this program. Left, Dr. John Jingu from, I think it's Department of Political Science and Public Administration, University of Dar es Salaam. Last but not least, Chambi Chachage, a social analyst with his own blogger. But for me, it's more interesting to have him here because his father, the late Professor Seti Chachage, again, the founder member of this program, a pioneer of this program. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm happy you made it. So, in the next 55 minutes, let us try to be positive and look at the 55 years of this country. So I'll keep on referring to this country. I mean, when we say this country at 55 years of independence, we know we mean Tanganyika because Tanzania was not, did not get these instruments of independence from the Princess of Edinburgh. Prince Philip of Edinburgh. It was Tanganyika handing over to Mwalimu then, but it became Tanzania. So welcome to the program again.
Thank you.
At 55 years of independence, is the country better off than at independence, Dr. Yimbo?
Maybe the first thing to start with is why should we commemorate independence? Independence embodies everything which we value as a country or as people. It is the day we got our citizenship. It is the time where we need to reflect on what our forefathers and mothers laid down as the foundations and ideals which shaped this country up to today. And the ideas which will continue to shape the destiny of this country for a long time from now. So, yes, now while we are commemorating that and reflecting that as citizens, it is also time to see where we need to rediscover ourselves as a country, to do like a balance sheet analysis of what we have achieved and what we have not achieved. Or what could do better. So I would say we have done a lot. We have achieved a lot. You put all indicators, socially, politically, economically. We have achieved a lot. So economically, the economy, you can't compare the way it was in 1961 up to today. The GDP and all aspects of the economy. When you talk about social aspect, education, health services, or social services in general, I think there is a lot of improvement. For example, I think we were the only one university by then, a small university with only 17 students, if I'm not mistaken.
It was actually a college.
It was the only college, yes, it was a college. And now we have 49 higher learning institutions.
Yes.
We are the only few secondary schools, missionary and government schools. And now we have about 5,000 secondary schools. We had about only few primary schools, and now there are about 17,000 primary schools in the country. So I would say, in short, with all indicators you can put in place, we have achieved a lot.
And we deserve to celebrate.
Yes, we deserve to celebrate.
We deserve to be happy.
Exactly.
Thank you. Can I turn to the only lady? Thank you, Rose, for coming in to break the gender imbalance. And then I'll move to the gentleman alternately here.
Thank you, Adam. When we are celebrating 55 years of independence, we are interested in analyzing where we came from, where we are, and where we want to go. And more in particular, as a gender person, somebody looking at people, including men and women, and where they have been and where they are. I can also join my colleagues to say, indeed, a lot has been done in terms of improving the conditions of both men and women in all socio-economic and cultural spheres, but a lot remains to be done, especially because I'm connecting this with issues of equality, with these issues of equity, and with issues of empowerment. So if we go back to independence, the situation of both men and women indeed was not all that good. And actually, if we go into politics, we could see all men and women were suffering from the three problems of ignorance, poverty, as well as diseases. But now, thank God to the independence government, a lot has been done in terms of improving social service delivery, that is education, economic development, and yet, so in terms of quantitative numbers, we can be happy that things are happening, but qualitatively, and if I relate to the just ended week of gender-based violence, a lot of things are happening that maybe they were not there when you got independence.
Oh, sorry, Rose. Maybe they were there, but they were not publicized. They were not recorded in the media as it is now. They are not prominently made clear for everybody to understand.
No, I think before independence and at independence, the social media was so strong.
Yes.
And people are so much connected. Yes. And you can even remember the first few years of independence when we were promoting socialism.
Yes.
Those values did not provide space for what we are seeing now. But currently, with globalization, yes, exposure, and much development, there are certain things which people are imitating. And now, because of in every individual for himself and God for us all, a lot of things are happening. Some yes, of them are now that we are seeing are impacting negatively on the gender relations. But as you are saying correctly, as you are taking stock yes, of the achievements, the issue of gender-based violence yes, is becoming an issue of concern because of its negative consequences of development.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you. We'll give you the benefit of the problem you're having, Rose, so rest a bit while we move around there. Yes. Chambi Chachage, you're a social analyst. He says we have every reason to be proud of. She kind of concurs with that, but pointing out that they said things which were not happening at independence, but they're happening now. What is your take on this?
For me, I'll start with the issue of context. In the context of independence is that we started at a very low base. Our first president, there was a time like he was being interviewed and he said we had like something like 2 engineers. We had very few graduates. If you look at the number of roads, tarmac roads that we had, we didn't have a lot of them. So because of the nature of our colonialism, we started at a very low base. So yes, there's a lot of things we've done, but when you compare it to the low base that we started,
Yes.
it means that we probably need to do more, or we were probably supposed to do more than that what we have done so far. So yes, it's good to celebrate, but we should also acknowledge that context of starting at a very low base. So if you start at 1 and you get to 10, it's a lot.
Yes.
But
should we take that as the benefit of the doubt for us to continue celebrating, because we started the low base, if this is your argument. But when you look at where we were and when we started and where we are now, certainly we should be proud of that, isn't it?
Indeed, we need to be proud, but as well we also need to be cautious. We were about 19 million people, I think.
Oh, no, that is too much.
But now
we were about 12.
About 12, okay. Now we are almost 50, or probably more than 50 million. So we need to do those balancing act.
Yes.
I mean, celebration is very good, but caution is also very important.
All right.
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah, I do agree with my brother Chachage that we started from a very low base. But Chachage, that's why we should be very proud of where we are, because some of our neighboring countries where the colonialists left them with a very strong base. If you look at Kenya, you look at Southern Rhodesia, now Zimbabwe, they were left with a very strong base. So we should be very proud of where we are in taking it from what you say, that we started from a very low base, with 2 engineers, I don't know how many doctors. The referral hospital was only in Dar es Salaam. So you'd be taken from Kiela in my district there brought to Dar es Salaam. We have a referral hospital in Mbeya, in almost every other region. So I think we should be very proud of what we have achieved. But like you said, we should also take stock of what we would have done better. She talked about health services. Are there any other avenues where we could have done better? In the extractive industry, what we did with mining, then we corrected it when we came to gas. Have we learned our lessons from what we did in the past, so that we could, the country has lived for half a century now. Do we go into the second century, living as business as usual? Like the cautious approach, I support you, because we need to see that the quality of life improves for our people. It's not just about the numbers that, because if I remember at independence, there were less than 10 people that had access to electricity. Now we are almost at 30. Even Kenya, we started from a capitalist, we started from capitalist, socialist, then we go back to capitalism. They're about 50. So we've got somewhere, If you have 30% of your population connected to electricity, that's very good, because it also helps, accelerate development. So yes, we should be very proud to celebrate, but as I would like to caution Tanzanians, my fellow Tanzanians, that we should not always rubbish what we have done. When I moved into Tabata, the tarmac road, like you were saying, it was just ending at Bima. But the road is a ring road, you can go up to the airport, So I've seen development. When I came in, there was nothing, So yes, we should be proud of what we have done, but take stock of what we have done and what we need to do better in the future.
Okay, on the basis of your analysis, the four of you, maybe it's just as pertinent to ask a question: what has since changed then for the better, or what has not changed for the better from independence 55 years ago, Dr. Jim?
A lot has changed. Even the society itself has changed. The values, the norms, taboos of the people, the way we handle ourselves as people has changed a lot because of the circumstances, the changing environment, both globally and locally. As we were saying, there's a lot of changes also economically, socially, politically. Politically, for example, now we have, yes, after independence we had the multi-party system, but it was not as vibrant as it is today. Socially, there's a lot of social dynamics, which were not there. So I would say it's a very broad question which you put forward. It depends. You can just touch any aspect of our life. You can point out a lot of changes which we can see around. So yes, a lot. We have changed, but we also have some issues which remain the same.
Which this is what has not changed.
Which has not changed. For example, the political culture. Much as we have all this multipartyism and whatever,
Yes.
different from our neighbors, for example, we still view ourselves as one people. We have not allowed the mushrooming of identity politics. We have some inroads here and there where people identify themselves in terms of their religion, their regions, and but by and large, we still recognize ourselves as one people. Fundamentally, I think that it was built immediately after independence. It has remained, and it still is the major identity of us as people. So I think that has remained as an identity of what we are as people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Shai.
Okay, thank you.
Does that mean also we are still united as one people on the basis of what Dr. Yigo said?
Thank you, Adam. When I'm looking at the other positive things, which were that independence, there is this issue of unity among the Tanzanians. That is, it is even becoming strong and strong, in the sense that it was one of the elements that enabled us to obtain independence, because people were united. And Kiswahili is the one that united us all. This is still being actually promoted, encouraged, and it is growing. So for me, that I still see as one of the ingredients that has always remained good. The other thing we are talking about, peace. Tanzania is a peaceful country. There has been a time where there are shortages of everything, but people still remain contented, and they are waiting for the support from wherever. And another thing that has continued since independence is this, what we call donor dependence. We've been depending from support from somewhere all the time, and even now it is a bad thing. We are always thinking of getting some support somewhere, and this, I don't know, there's a culture, because even when we organize meetings, we always look outward. So yes, independence means freedom, liberation, and what have you. But
self-reliance.
Yeah, self-reliance. But much as things are going well, but still, as you are saying, what have not changed is this culture of dependence, both at national and probably even individual level. I know during those days, early 60s, where the support was coming from communities, from the villages, from the neighborhood. But now, that one is also kind of, it's there, but not as strong as it used to be. So indeed, as you are saying, if we look at individual sectors, individual fields, there's things which are changing very much so, and others which are still static or they are constant.
What do you say of this, because you referred to individual,
Yes.
have remained about dependency, where everywhere you go, people want to do something, but they look for what they call in Kiswahili mfadhili.
Yes.
And the word mfadhili has become very popular. I mean, somebody will come to you, I mean, I haven't done this, I want to do this, can you fadhili me? So this dependency is something that hasn't changed much, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And actually, when you read something about the right to development,
Yes.
and you look at the conventions which are there,
Yes.
the ufadhili thing is highly promoted, that the developed countries should be ready to support those which are less developed.
Yes.
And when it comes to individual, people are taking it as, Adam, if I can get something from you,
Yes.
why not? So this is some of those things which are kind of, I don't know whether it was put inside us, because as you are saying,
You want to share that?
Yeah, she's talking about donor dependence. I think I might be wrong, but I think this has been deliberate effort by the Western world, and it's something that he was talking about being cautious. We should look at whatever aid or grants we get from the donors, target it at what we want to do. Because there are times that we have got whatever aid that we get from the donors, and it has ended up in people's pockets. And maybe they think that if we continue that, they will continue ruling us. If we're not economically independent, they will always have a hand in what we do. So it's up to us. It's not them. We shouldn't blame them. It's up to us. How do you use, whatever that you are assisted with? But like the current president says, Dr. Magufuli, he says that Tanzania is a very natural resource endowed country. Why should we go with a begging bowl, around the world? I think it should stop. Yes, okay, the government was dependent on donors for over 50% of the budget in the past. Now that has dropped to about 40%, if I'm not mistaken. That we should go, like she's saying, we should stop being, this is something
Can
that
you really
has...
stop completely being independent? Because we're in a global world.
You can, only when when you have a national disaster, like the tsunami, they never planned for a tsunami. You can have support from somewhere, but you shouldn't leave that, I'll get support from somewhere. Mr. Simbe, look at what we have as a country. The tourism industry, if it is handled the right way, the extractive industry, this is heaven. But if we say that I remember one of the Koreas, I don't know which one it is, they even came here. One of them was that the per capita income of their country in 1961 was just at par with Tanzania. South.
Yeah.
But where are they now?
Not only not.
You
Malaysia,
hear them
Singapore.
giving funds to the IMF. So it's possible if everybody plays their part and they play it, with that patriotism. Because what has gone backwards? The unity is there, patriotism is almost gone. But if you look at the songs that we used to sing, it's so patriotic. You sing a song about your country and you feel so proud about it. Right now, people, that's what the president is fighting against now. People just thought this was, like they say in Swahili, shamba la bibi. We should work hard, let everybody play their part. This country can stop begging. We can stop being donor dependent. It's possible. I believe in that.
Yes, but Joe, let us also not forget the vicious cycle, the poverty cycle. Is still going round. I mean, if at a family level we are still involved in a poverty cycle, your son, your grandson will keep on evolving and.
But Mr. Simbe, that's why I said, sorry to say, that's why I say that if everybody plays their part effectively and the right way, look at TASAF. I don't have the figures here. Look at TASAF and what they've done in the villages that were identified and the families that got help from TASAF. You look at the reports that they produced, how these families have been changed. So if we could broaden that TASAF project countrywide.
And deal with the fake management who are identifying
it's possible.
well to do in the name of poor.
That's what I'm saying. If everybody plays their part the right way, because not putting people that don't deserve that. But TASAF has played a very good role in, elevating people from the poverty that they are living a better life. So we need such programs like TASAF and other programs, because the money is there. How did the president manage to build this road just next to the TBC here?
Because he
cancelled the celebrations.
Yeah.
So it's possible.
We should be cancelling more.
No, not cancelling, but we can budget for that. We can budget for that. But this money was meant for celebrations. And we never celebrated. Did we die?
No.
But now the road is there. Do you see an improvement in the traffic movement of traffic? Yes. Because if I should remind you, this country was losing 4 billion, I think, a day because of traffic jams. You know, you're losing so many man hours on the road. So if you have, we are building that flyover there. These are some of the developments. So you ease movement of traffic. Everybody here gets tired just driving to work and going back home. They're just tired.
Rose, do you want to come in before Chachage comes in?
Yeah, I want to support my brother here by saying that actually when we are looking at independence 55 years, we want to look at the entire population of Tanzania to see that we are all going together as one group so that we are not going to have other people at a higher level and others at lower level.
We don't leave anyone behind.
We don't leave anyone behind, but surprisingly, as we are talking now, as we are celebrating 55 years, you hear people who are complaining they have no electricity, no water. It's like they are alienated from the rest of us, indeed they are Tanzanians. So when we are looking at independence and benefits of independence, there are people who are not sure whether they are still independent yet because of the misery they are going through. And also within our families, now it's about the role of the state to promote policies that are fair and that are just for everybody. And we tried during the socialism to carry everybody. But again, because we are of the dependence again, we could not go far. Now we are back to where, as I said, everybody for himself and God for us all. And now the gap is widening, not only among individuals, but even across nations, across regions. And now, of late, the story about John, the Pharaoh. You remember?
Yes, the rhino.
The rhino. The one cost of a rhino being expensive than gold. It was amazing. And then say, is it so hard to raise many rhinos to get so much money? And then the issue will be now is about is resource management of the natural and even the other resources, the man-made resources. If the state could control and get out of the selfishness, corruption, what have you, we are not going to be beggars, even as individuals, because with rhinos only, it can take us a long way.
Can I chip in before that agenda?
Okay.
I think, yes, after independence, we were independent, but I think we should appreciate that we made some efforts to be self-reliant.
I know.
We even declared as a fundamental policy, self-reliance to be our fundamental policy. And we made a lot of efforts. The problem started, I think, from the late 1980s to recent past, where we almost resigned that everything should come from technical advice, from policy advice, all those kind of things. So in effect, therefore, we ended up having policies which did not serve interests of the people, they serve interests of donors. They say whoever pays for the whatever, whoever calls the tune for the piper calls for the tune, calls the tune.
Yes.
So that's exactly what happened and what has been happening. When you allow somebody to fund whatever initiative you have, your policy initiatives, then you should be rest assured that that particular policy will be shaped to the interests of that particular donor. So that is one of the fundamental problems. And there are a lot of examples in the extractive industry and the others where you see we could do better, but because of these policies and laws which were tilted in the interests of the funders, then we ended up being shortchanged. So that is one. But I think we also mentioned about the inequalities and the problems. Some people are benefiting or they're in a better situation than others, and the role of state in relation to that. Yes, the state, I think, you cannot alienate the state. But because of this donor dependence, we were told the state should stay away. Just maybe to deal with the prisons and the criminals and whatever. What do they say is a watchman state.
Yes.
When you have a watchman state, then development aspect of the state cannot be expected. Luckily enough now, with the new leadership, I think we are having now a new momentum toward developmental state. The state is taking its role, but even when the state does everything is expected for it, the role of individual is very important. If we do not do our individual efforts to develop ourselves, then we will remain poor, we will remain disadvantaged, we will remain destitute. Yeah, so
because that's Dr. Jim goes back to dependence again, because
yes,
if everybody depends on the government to do even the little thing that they can do for themselves, to do it for them, that dependence is perpetuated.
Exactly.
So I mean, the example of Mbezi Beach, beautiful villas, really beautiful villas.
Yeah.
But the road to get to those villas is so bad, and the people living there, they say they expect town roads and the municipality to come and build roads. If they can afford to build such big and beautiful houses, they should love to pass through a tarmac road. Why not come together and contribute? Because after all, it's you who pass through that road to go to your residence.
Exactly. And I think we should pay heed to the call, which has also become the slogan of this government. We should work. It's only work, hard work, which will elevate or uplift us to,
Honestly.
Yes, the problems of development we have as individuals, but also as a country.
Chachagi, you've been quiet for a while now, but I'm sure we are following the discussion as a social analyst.
Yeah, I just have one comment about it. I'm one of those people who believe that the only constant thing is change. So basically, we've always been changing, and changing can be upward or downward. You don't really get to a situation where you are
vertical.
you don't really get to a situation where you are like stuck, constant. So if we look at Tanzania historically, as I said earlier, when we started at a low base, and we were going up in almost all facets, as he said earlier, on education, infrastructure. And I want to zero in on infrastructure because I believe, yes, the state has a role, but the main role of the state really is to provide what people call public good. The public goods are the one that really helps people to be able to do all this, to bring this development, their own development, and the development of their society. So infrastructure is one of the public goods that the state is supposed to provide. I grew up in the 80s. It was very difficult, for instance, to go to Dar es Salaam. I mean, from Dar es Salaam to my grandma's place. We had to sleep at night, and then
That's in Jombe.
My mother's side.
Oh, your mother.
In
Be specific.
in Kilimanjaro.
Because you're halfway in Mbena and you're halfway in Paris.
Yeah, exactly. So we had to sleep, and then we arrived the next day. There was no tarmac road in my grandma's village. Now there's tarmac road. And the movement, so basically that's a public good that the state or the government has brought, and it is enabling the people now to be able to move and bring their own development. So it's easy now for someone to come from Dungu to my grandma's village in Gonja and sell their stuff on Kiete. Kiete is a communal market on Thursday. It's easy for buses to go from Dar es Salaam and arrive on Wednesday, ready for the market on Thursday.
Same day?
Yeah. So that's why I'm saying the state is supposed to provide these public goods, and we tried. The scale increased, and then there was another change, a downward change. We've got a little bit of shaking there. Of course, there are many reasons. There's a lot of argument about what were the main causes. Some people argue that they were internal, some people argue they're external, but it's a mix of both. So it was a shaking. We didn't totally stagnate in the 80s, 90s. We went a little bit down, and then we had all these structural programs, structural adjustment programs, and everything else. And now we are here back again, trying to pick up, actually, a lot of things. Like the whole industrialization strategy we're having now is an attempt to pick up. we had massive attempts at industrialization in the same period. We were attempting to pick up.
There are many industries.
So infrastructure, we have really improved, and our people are moving, goods are moving. And it's important because at the end of the day, it means we're going to create a big tax base. And that's a tax that is supposed to go to the government coffers so that we can get the public good, so that we can do all these other things that we need to do. But again, there's a change which is regression. So we had education, massive investment in education, including adult education. And now the statistics of adult education are going down.
Yeah.
And it's very dangerous because if you look at educational analysis of the education sector, there's a fact that an educated mother, the children of an educated mother tend to be better.
Than the children of uneducated?
Yes, in terms of...
Educated or uneducated, what do you mean?
Of uneducated, generally. Of course, exceptions are there. So basically what they
school?
mean... basically that's what they mean. But what they really mean is when you have an educated mother, it means most likely the children will get better health. Most likely the children will get better education, which means the children will be on an upward path. So basically, when you had adult education, it means we are trying to create families that have those kind of dynamics so that they can be able to ensure that their children are better than them. So now if you are creating parents who are no longer that stable, it means now we are getting back to a vicious circle. So adult education has really gone down compared to the past, and that's regression.
Does adult education exist? In real terms?
That's the other question. There was a time this country was had the highest adult literacy rate. But there is one point he mentioned about the government's role in industrialization. I think we shouldn't go back to making the same mistake that we made in the past of, I can see this mistake happening that, it's only the private sector that can drive this industrialization. No. If we are to learn from China, we've been very good friends. They built the whole rail, Tazara. They never really divorced themselves from business. Most of the companies that are doing big infrastructure projects, even in America, people don't understand. It's just in Africa. Big infrastructure projects, the Chinese government-sponsored companies. So going forward, I would advise this governments that will come in the future, the government shouldn't take itself away completely from doing business. I'm not saying business they should sell
not just creating a
no. It's not just creating a conducive environment. Because if you look at China, all these, Mr. Simbe, all these companies you see, all of them are government-owned. Full stop. They're even in America. One senator, there was a time I went with President Mkapa to the UN. There was a meeting there. And one senator was complaining when we read in the papers that why are they giving, Chinese companies very big projects? And he was just answered, they are cheap and effective. Cheap and effective. So I agree with you. Yeah. The government should never, ever just leave business. Okay, they are trying it in the extractive industry, even though it's not exactly the right way. They've taken over Tulawaka gold mine, but this mine had reached its mine life had ended, and
so there was nothing left, more left.
No, but when you do more exploration, you can discover more avenues where you can dig for ore that contains gold. But maybe the way the government should do it, they have STAMGOD, which is part of STAMICO. They should make STAMICO strong so that it could even be a joint venture with companies that come. You have Acacia, you have Geita Gold Mine. They should be the ones holding shares for the government. So in that way, the government is doing business, but not directly, but through an institution like STAMICO. But instead of just divorcing yourself, you say no, because for the public good to be provided, the government is collecting taxes. But if it was also doing business, it is easy for it to monitor what is going on. Because the Chinese have built their country through their own companies. And they are now branching off throughout the world. So
If I may add, it's not only the Chinese,
John,
actually. We have what they call the so-called Asian tigers.
Yes.
They're talking about South Korea, Malaysia, Taiwan,
Singapore.
all those countries. Go to all those countries. Even in Africa, of course, we have Ethiopia, Ethiopian Airlines, Kenyan Airlines. It is the state.
Which is dead. Well, no, they are dead.
It's not that, but it is in problem.
dead
But that's the good example, the Asian
Yeah.
tigers. It is the state. The state should invest in strategic sectors.
Yes.
Or at least it should have some stakes. It's not necessary that the state should have a total monopoly.
No.
But it should have a hand in all those strategic sectors, those which have impact to the wider economy. Of course, as he said, my brother said, not sell mandazi and all those things. Those mamantiliers and others can do it. Yeah, so I think that's very critically important.
You want to come in?
Yeah. I just want to comment, and he might help me because he's an expert on the state. Okay, the state is not one thing, and we all know that.
Yeah.
And we also need to be very cautious, because one of the arguments that was presented about the failure of our older companies and industries, that there was too much interference from the state. But what they really meant is that there was too much interference from the political leaders. So, yes, the state is supposed to be developmental. It's supposed to
Indulge itself.
Yes, but when we talk about the state, or when we talk about the government, we know we have the parliament, we have the judiciary, and then we have the executive. And in the context of business, basically, we have what we call public corporations. So now public corporations, they are not entirely, or they are not supposed to be entirely part of that executive state. Because the moment the executive state has a lot of hands on this public corporation, including TBC, it becomes a problem. So yes, the government or the state, actually the better word is public. Like the public entities are supposed to do business. And they are supposed to have minimum interference from politicians and politics. That way
I totally agree with you.
Actually, we need to have arm's length between
I totally agree with you.
relationship between
It shouldn't be like, that's why I said in my earlier
Eyes
remarks.
on, hands off.
hands off.
That's why I said in my earlier remarks
that-
that we shouldn't make the same mistakes that we made.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you have a cadre who messes up an institution or a parastatal, he's transferred. No. Fire them. I'm not saying that we should be so harsh like they do in China. No, that's. But you know, and for China, I just gave it as an example. Because when we visited Singapore, Dubai, what these guys are doing are just, out of this world. Like Chachage is saying, it's true. Once we have the state, through the public companies or institutions, there should be that, respect between the two. And it should be, written that you have a performance contract. What we want you to do is ABC. Singapore, they depend on the ports for their income.
It's a port country.
Port country, and they've even developed a tourism industry. If you can imagine, tourism industry in Singapore. And what they've done is just built a very big aquarium where you go with an accelerator, you can watch the sharks, and so many buses are there, But here we have natural, we have elephants and the like. But we are not aggressive enough. Maybe we're going to come to that. We are not aggressive enough, marketing ourselves. Our neighbors have done that. They've even marketed something that belongs to us. So going forward, I think these are some of the things that haven't happened in the past. We haven't marketed ourselves as aggressive as we should do.
Yes, in many cases, thank you, Joe. In many cases, this nasty word called corruption, sometimes it's the basis of all the ineffectiveness, the problems we go through. How have we fared in 55 years on the fight against corruption, which you can all recall? Mwalimu, the founder of this nation, abhorred corruption, and he spoke so strongly about it. What, did we go wrong, or have we done it right? Rose, you want to come in quickly?
The issue of corruption indeed has catch the eyes of everybody. And now the issue is why corruption? What is the origin? Who are these corrupt people? And when you try to assess and draw some conclusions, you could see there are different levels of corruption happening at different levels and for some reasons. But all it zeroed to poor governance.
Poor governance.
Poor governance. Because it creates room for people to go around the rules.
Circumvent the rule of law.
Otherwise, if you are to start an industry or anything and you follow the rules properly and things are happening as scheduled, there's no room for corruption. But because things are not happening the way they're supposed to, and people are fast, they want to do things, of course they do get involved into that.
Yeah, it's true, you know, corruption. Corruption has been there time immemorial. You know, if you go, me, I'm a Christian, if you go biblically, corruption was there. But it's how you handle corruption that what matters. You know, you have corrupt police officers in America, corrupt police officers in everywhere you go.
Public servants.
Yeah, but
senior officials.
But it's how you handle. You should be seen to be doing something about it, not business as usual. And you know, like she said, when you have institutions in place that are not interfered with, you know, independent institutions that tackle such issues as corruption, grand fraud, you know, such things, like a SFO in the UK. You know, they could even tackle, even if you are a minister in a serious fraud unit in the UK. You know, we should have the PCCB. Let it be strong enough that, you know, it shouldn't be a politician to say, go and arrest Dr. Jingu. No. It should be the institution itself. If you look at America today, you could have anybody becoming president because the institutions are so strong that they will just put you to task.
Including Donald Trump?
Including him. But, you know, corruption, you know, it should start from at the lowest level. And the thing that's eating our societies, the people that we elect, is something we were discussing in our locality. You have, I don't know what they call him, the chairman for the Shina, you know? You have somebody that doesn't even know how to write. And you people, you call yourselves educated, and you let this person to be your chairman. So you see where the problem starts. You have the chairman for the ward, somebody who, you know, he can hardly articulate issues. You elect him. So the problems start at a very low level. So when people want services from this person, you know, he doesn't know that, you know, there are certain rules and no, says, for this stamp, you give me 5,000. And it becomes the norm, you know. So start at the bottom. So you think it's normal to do this, you know. Somebody tells you, you know, you want a driving license, give me 200,000. And driving license costs only 40,000.
And it will be delivered to your house.
Yeah, only 40,000 to get a driving license. But somebody says, give me 200,000. And people, you know, it's better to build strong institutions, have people with integrity, and people should, you know, should be made to, you know, like the people in the judiciary. They should swear when they want to serve in the public interest.
This has begun.
You know, people shouldn't just be put there because they belong to such a party. No. We should have people that are strong, people that love this country, are patriotic, that they can stand strong even when people take money to them. But if we don't do that, corruption will continue.
Couldn't that be poverty as well, gentlemen?
No.
I mean, poverty is something. Let me cite what the Minister for Finance and Economic Affairs said recently, and it was in the papers. It is unacceptable, it is unacceptable that Tanzania remains poor, a poor nation, more than half a century after independence, while other countries have been able to transform their economies in just 3 decades. There must come a time when we have to say 55 years of independence is a very long time. Others have succeeded in completely transforming their countries in 30 years. We are tired of poverty. We must now decide to work hard, nothing comes easy. This was Dr. Philip Mpango. I think he visited the Tan Trade exhibition, small-scale industrial exhibition at, is it National Stadium or Stadium? So this is coming from a senior minister. Poverty could be a cause of some of these things. You elect somebody who has never been to school. That's the only way. He knows if you give you a stamp, that's corruption. I mean, there's corruption in the last 2 weeks. We were talking about gender violence, and one of my panelists brought the issue of sextortion, which is also corruption.
But maybe I was misunderstood. I didn't say when you elect these people, they are the only ones that are corrupt. I know of somebody, I don't want to mention their name. They had retired. They were in government. They were asking for 40,000 from somebody that went to look for an advert. And these are very senior people that are paid a lot of money. So it's not poverty.
Yes.
Yes, I would put it this way. Maybe try to combine both corruption and poverty and try to link the two. Corruption is caused by mainly two things: need and greedy. You may have some people who may be forced to take some bribe because they need something. This person is hungry, there's no food, he left nothing at home, and here comes somebody with 5,000. This person may allow himself, it's not proper, but he may be motivated to take that 5,000. So that is needy. And this kind of corruption is basically a pet corruption, maybe it's to the ordinary or lower cadres of public servants. But the large part of it is caused by greedy. And the bigger part of corruption, the big corruption, include what we may call state capture, is caused by greedy. These are the people who do not need it. Actually, they have a lot. They have abundant wealth. They even
the Bible says the more you need, the more you
exactly
you want, and it to be taken away from you and given to someone else.
Mm-hmm. So you have people who are motivated by greedy to accumulate more, who engage in corruption. And I have just mentioned this form of corruption. In the literature, they call it state capture. A situation where a particular agency of the state is basically rendered to be the opposite of what it should be. Because ideally, it's supposed to serve the people, the interests of the people. Yeah. And now you have some few people who have captured it, they have seized it, they're controlling it, and because of that, they're making decisions, binding decisions, which serve the interests of few at the expense of the wider interests of the majority. So you may have a situation where contracts which bind the nation, like in the extractive industry, we had some noises in the extractive industry, in the energy industry, which bind the country will continue paying, people will continue, even the user charges will actually be hiked to enrich some few individuals, That is caused by greedy. And when you have that kind of arrangement, those bad contracts, bad policies, bad laws, the resources of the country, instead of going to serve the people, they will actually be impoverishing the people. So in that case...
How do you address greediness?
Oh, how do you address... I think one way of doing it, my brother has just mentioned, is to create what we may call as deterrence measures. People should fear. And I was talking to my friend who works in the public service recently. He said nowadays people in public service to take a bribe or something of that nature, they think twice because they know the consequences of doing that. So that is deterrence. People should know that there are consequences for engaging in those evil actions.
And that should be institutionalized.
Yes. So, yeah.
It shouldn't be that the current president, no. It should be institutionalized so that people know that if I do this, this will happen.
Because tomorrow, I mean, not literally tomorrow, but after first term and second term, most likely, he will be gone. Suppose somebody else comes who is not as strong as Pombe Magufuli.
Yeah.
And you don't have institutions.
We have institutions. We have Takukuru, the PCCB, and the other institution, the police and others. These institutions should do their job, and they should be strengthened to do their job well. So that is one way of addressing it. The second way of addressing it is to, we talked about rediscovering ourselves, improving our value system. Our education system from lower level to higher level should teach your people, our young people, at all levels, the ethical conduct, issues, integrity matters. People should know that the public matters more than the individual. And when the collectivity benefits, I will also benefit. And we should be electing to elect them to serve themselves. Actually, that is the core of the matter. If one asks a question, you actually ask the question, why this corruption? The bigger part of it, the big corruption, which is caused by greedy, is largely caused by what we may call as commercialization of politics, which came in with the liberalization. People started viewing political offices, councillorship, to be a member of parliament, to be a minister, as good deals, that when you get those positions, then that's an opportunity to enrich yourself. So people will procure, basically, these positions during election.
I like that word.
And once they procure these positions, once they get in the office, their major job will be to enrich themselves and not to serve the people.
Dr. Jingo, we have 5 minutes. We better wind up quickly. I'll start with you, Rose. Very quickly, less than a minute. This country faced so many challenges in 55 years. What do you anticipate to be more challenges, or 1 or 2 serious challenges as we go beyond 55? Very quickly.
Okay, thank you, Adam. I think the major challenge is to live our dream of becoming a middle-income country through industrialization. Okay, because now the preparations for reaching that stage in 2025 should start now, but
you're not sure?
I'm not sure.
Okay. Joe?
I think we have toyed with the idea of, working on our education system. We haven't come up, correct me if I'm wrong, with the right mix as to what education system we need. Is today say this, tomorrow is this, tomorrow is this. I think this is the biggest challenge going forward. We should find the right mix for education system. If we don't do that, we are doomed, because everything depends on education.
Excellent. Very quickly.
For me, I think the greatest challenge is how are we going to balance democracy and development, because in our case, where we really need a lot of institutionalization rather than depending on individuals, they need to go hand in hand. If you need to tackle corruption in development, you need solid, independent democratic institution, a solid parliament, solid parliamentary committees to be able to hold the people who are in charge of the development project into account.
Thank you.
Industrialization. And it is industrialization because all developed countries are industrialized countries. And for us to develop, we have to industrialize. There's no option. And to do that, one thing which we may need to do is to ensure that there's a fit between our education system and the industrialization agenda we have.
Wow. Thank you very much, my panelists. Those are, apart from the overall analysis, the conclusions seem to be really making it all to kind of wind up the discussion. Industrialization, education, the link between institutions and development and democracy, so that you have powerful institutions like the Bunge. You forgot about the judiciary. I kept on saying judiciary. You didn't hear that. And the police. And then, of course, the emphasis from Dr. Jingo, the issue of industrialization. As you rightly said, when we look at the policy of an industrial economy by 2025, we should always take into account the mistakes, as you earlier said, Joe, of the past. When under Mwalimu, we built a lot of industries, but later on, particularly after the Arusha Declaration was discarded, all these industries were non-existent. They were bought by people trying to tell us they're going to revive industries. They became warehouses. Now, 55 years is a long period. It's a lifetime. So let's hope, as you rightly said, beyond 55, these challenges, there are only 4 challenges, but I'm sure every other Tanzanian has a challenge which you would like to put across, but given the opportunity, the 4 of you have helped us and the viewers to realize what are the challenges that we are likely to face beyond 55. Thank you very much, my panelists. Viewers, at 55, the country has come a long way, and in the late and in the period, she has achieved and has made tremendous progress in all the developmental sectors. However, more needs to be done, especially in fighting poverty, corruption, improvement in health services and accessibility as well, improved education system. All these have been emphasized by my panelists here. There should also be, this education will be, there should be also equity, supply of clean water, and above all, good governance, which Dr. Shayo referred to. President Magufuli called on all Tanzanians to be proud of the achievements made in 55 years, whilst taking into account that we are responsible for our own development. No outsider, uncle, cousin, brother from outside can do that for us or on our behalf. Certainly, it is important to appreciate the fact that at 55, the desire of our leaders to move the country to an industrial-based economy, hence industrialization of the country by 2025, is a positive goal that should be shared, well understood by all Tanzanians. Hence, work hard, kapa kazi tu, towards attaining that goal. The country has the potential resources, and given the positive and strong leadership, well-educated labor, human capital, and trained human capital as well, we can certainly achieve that goal. Let us all together do it. If countries which were at the independent during the independence were at the same level with us have done it, a few names were raised here, Singapore, Malaysia, and all others, we too can do it. Let's do it. That's all we have for you today. Until next Sunday at 21 hours, and on Thursday at 15 hours for the repeat program. On behalf of my panel, Joseph Momnyange, Dr. Rose Shayo, Dr. John Jingu, Chambi Chachage, and my TBC Television Center crew. Thank you, viewers, and goodbye.